Usually, when you go from a mid-range product to a premium product in any company's product lineup, the premium product is going to be all around better than the mid-range product. But that's not the case when you compare the Skullcandy Venues to the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs. Now, initially, I wasn't going to make this video, but after seeing the ANC test results and after comparing both of these headphones feature sets, I thought this video could help some people out. And it can also highlight how the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs could improve for next year. Now, the Skullcandy Venue retail for $180, whereas the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs retail for $320. Personally, from a business standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if a pair of $250 ANC headphones are in the works over at Skullcandy. But nonetheless, if you want to pick either of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to learn more about either of these headphones, please watch their full reviews, because we're only going to be going over the main differences here. For starters, I just want to give Skullcandy a lot of credit when it comes to their carrying cases, especially when it comes to the Venues. For a pair of $180 headphones, the Venues come included with a great carrying case. Now, the Crusher ANCs also come included with a decent hard shell carrying case, but when you're spending upwards of $300 on a pair of headphones, it is to be expected. But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. Fit and build quality wise, these headphones are very different. Now, both of these headphones are very solid, but the plastics used on the Crusher ANCs feel finer than the plastics used on the Venues. But oddly enough, I prefer the synthetic leatherette used on the Venues over the Crushers. The synthetic leatherette on the Venues have more of a soft touch feel to them, which just feels nicer, whereas the synthetic leatherette on the Crushers just feel too synthetic. But also, the earpads on the Venues are significantly softer than the earpads on the Crushers, which just make them a little more comfortable to wear. Now, disclaimer, I'm not the biggest fan of how either of these headphones fit, but if I had to choose just one, I would go with the Venues. Now, the Venues are not big head approved. They have a lot of clamping force, and I actually have to extend their headband all the way out if I want to comfortably wear them. But since their ear pads are softer and since they're significantly lighter, they're much easier to deal with than the Crushers. Now, like I've already said multiple times already, the Crusher ANCs are a pair of very heavy headphones, weighing in at 310 grams, whereas the Venues weigh in at 245 grams. And all of this extra weight on the Crushers is very noticeable when you wear them for extended periods of time. If you're looking for a pair of headphones to watch TV or movies with on a regular basis, or to daily commute with, I highly recommend the Venues over the Crushers if you have a smaller head. Whereas with the Crushers, personally, I can only recommend them for short listening sessions. Now, active noise cancellation is a pretty big deal on both of these headphones. The Venues were released in the fall of 2018, and they were Skullcandy's first pair of ANC headphones ever. And now we have the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs, which are the first Crushers ever to have active noise cancellation, which just make them much more versatile than their predecessors, the Skullcandy Crusher 360s. But to my surprise, the active noise cancellation on the Venues actually manages to block out more noise than the Crushers. Now, even though the active noise cancellation on the Venues outperforms the ANC found on the Crushers, there are some trade-offs. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test.
Noise cancelling on.
Like you may have just seen, the Venues clearly managed to block out more road noise and more chatter than the Crusher ANCs do. So if your main priority here is active noise cancellation, then I highly recommend the Venues over the Crushers. But even though the venues block out more noise than the crushers, they do have some drawbacks. For starters, the venues have significantly more cabin pressure than the crushers do. Now, the crushers also have some cabin pressure, but it's significantly less than the venues. You won't feel the cabin pressure on the venues when you're listening to music with them, but you will definitely feel it when watching YouTube videos or movies. So for that reason, I only use the ANC on the venues when I absolutely have to. But also, the active noise cancellation on the venues really likes to change how these headphones sound. With ANC turned on, the bass on these headphones won't kick as hard and the soundstage gets a little narrowed. So even though the venues have fairly impressive ANC for entry-level ANC headphones, they go about blocking out noise with brute force. But when it comes to listening to music with these headphones, the venues sound just okay. Now, they have a surprising amount of bass, and if you listen to music with these headphones with their ANC turned off, then the bass resonates surprisingly deep and it doesn't really muddle out the rest of your music. But if you use these headphones with their ANC turned on, then the bass on these headphones really likes to sputter out when you're listening to bass-heavy music at higher volumes, which personally I just think is unacceptable for a pair of $180 headphones. But the main reason why these headphones sound just okay is because their instrument separation in the soundstage isn't the best. Everything just sounds very close together with these headphones. Whereas the Crusher ANCs are a whole other story. The Skullcandy Crusher ANCs are all about bass. They don't just have an insane amount of bass, they have all of the damn bass. And honestly, no other pair of headphones can come close to providing a similar experience when listening to music that the Crusher ANCs do. Now, I do think the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs are the best sounding pair of crushers Skullcandy has made so far. And like I said in the full review, if you have the Skullcandy Crusher 360s, I do think it's worth upgrading to the Crusher ANCs, even though I do think their fit is a bit of a downgrade. And quite honestly, you can't compare the bass on these headphones to the OG Crushers, because the OG Crushers just sound like there's a rubber band flicking next to your ear, so they don't sound good at all. The Crusher ANCs have this head-rattling bass that feels like you have explosions going off to either side of you, but even though the Crusher ANCs have a lot of bass, it's still under control and it doesn't ruin the rest of your music. But more importantly, the mids and highs on the Crusher ANCs are a little more pronounced so that they can better cut through all of their bass. The bass on the Crusher ANCs are simply overkill, but they're just a whole lot of fun. But something that I found a little odd on the Crusher ANCs is that even though they now have an ambient mode, which is great and just makes the Crusher ANCs a little more versatile than their predecessors, I find it weird that they don't have a monitoring mode like on the venues. With the venues, if you press their ANC button, they'll automatically lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can quickly talk to someone without having to take your headphones off, like this. Now, unfortunately, the venues don't have an ambient mode like the Crushers do. But personally, I just don't understand why the Crushers don't have both an ambient mode and a monitoring mode, because when you're paying upwards of $300 on a pair of headphones, you want to get as many features as possible, especially one as useful as Skullcandy's monitoring mode. But both of these headphones do have tile integration. Now, personally, I don't really care for tile integration, but if you're prone to losing your stuff on a regular basis, then you can always track your stuff down. Now, personally, I would prefer that the Crusher ANCs had a monitoring mode over tile integration, but I guess life can't be perfect. Now, obviously, when it comes to picking between the Skullcandy venues and Crusher ANCs, it isn't an apples-to-apples comparison. The venues are just an okay pair of entry-level ANC headphones meant for day-to-day life, whereas the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs are all about fun. They're not the best fitting headphones and they don't have the best active noise cancellation, but the bass on these headphones is just insane. It's literally one of those things that you just gotta try for yourself. But even though the Crusher ANCs are Skullcandy's most expensive pair of ANC headphones, they don't outright outperform the Venues. So even though the Crusher ANCs are a great upgrade from the Crusher 360s, they still have some room for improvement. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.